After catching hell for weeks because of health care, the Democrats are probably breathing a sigh of relief this week now that the GOP is on the hot seat. From Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Steele to Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell, foot and mouth disease is spreading quickly. Here to talk about that and much more are Art Fennell, host of Art Fennell Reports on the Comcast Network, Elmer Smith, columnist and editorial board member for the Philadelphia Daily News, and Jerry Mondesire, editor and publisher of the Philadelphia Sunday newspaper and president of the Philadelphia NAACP. Gentlemen, I'm certainly glad that you are here. I got to start right with this whole Confederate History Month deal. Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell comes out, makes this proclamation, doesn't even mention slavery.
Right.
Is he nuts or what? I mean, anyone with common sense knows you can't talk about the Civil War and Confederates and not mention slavery.
Roland, I'll tell you, I come from the South. I was born and raised in South Carolina. This Confederacy issue doesn't go away. Even if it's not talked about. Yeah. And they want to revive that culture, and it's a culture for them, even though they don't openly embrace it as they once did, but you still see plenty of Confederate flags around. And so here was an opportunity from Governor McDonnell to say, hey, look, let's reinstate this yet again. And I don't know who gives him his counsel, but it was a bad idea.
It wasn't significant enough to mention.
Shelby Foote said it best in Ken Burns' famous documentary, which has been shown on PBS any number of times, and we've all seen it at least twice. He says many Southerners are still reliving the Civil War every day of their lives. They still think it's Shiloh or Manassas or Fredericksburg, and that's the tragedy, and Arthur's right.
But not Appomattox Courthouse.
But they never want to remember Gettysburg, Appomattox, or the places where they got defeated.
And I'm not trying to remember people looking like us in chains.
Exactly.
I mean, I kind of can't forget that.
But history by omission is common with Republicans in the South. Remember, a president went and opened his campaign in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and forgot to mention Sherman, Goodman, and Cheney.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, so I mean, this is nothing new for him. What I love about him is the argument that the Civil War is really about states' rights. And every time I hear that, I want to remind these folks that you didn't have a problem with states' rights when the Fugitive Slave Act came along. I mean, you didn't mind going into other states and grabbing people's property and bringing it back.
Right.
So all of a sudden, states' rights is a huge issue with you when it suits your purpose.
It really speaks to a larger issue because the two previous Democratic governors of Virginia would not issue the proclamation.
Right.
The two previous Republican governors did. And so the Republicans are always saying we don't want to be branded as racist. But whenever these kind of situations happen, they play right into it. So are they really speaking to that white base? Or are they really saying, let's really honor our history? What are they doing?
I think it's a combination of both. Personally, I think that they want to honor their history because they see their history as pretty much a history of the whites and the Confederacy. And again, that's their culture. It's deep-rooted with them.
And the proclamation said all Virginians.
Right.
I got a whole lot of emails from folks who were saying, I'm not really down with this whole thing here.
Yeah. I used to live in Virginia, and believe me, this conversation would come up around the coffee table or the dinner table or whatever the case may be, and believe me, it's still talked about.
Yeah, but they argue that what they're doing this for is to promote tourism. How many black tourists are going to come to Virginia in the face of this kind of an insult? So really, this is code. I mean, this is wink, wink. It's all about making sure that they are in line with the right people. It's a setup for things going forward.
Jerry, here's what I think the NAACP should do, or any other organization.
Go ahead.
I believe what they should do is they should actually go get some brave souls and have a true slave reenactment.
So we go down there and stand on the block, huh?
They should have some loincloths on, put chains, put shackles on them,
right,
and walk them around the state capitol and say, Governor McDonnell, this is the part that you forgot about. Right. So while we're having tourism here and they're taking pictures, they can have a photo. They can say, come take a photo with the slave.
Here's content.
To remind people. I mean, and again, some folks kind of like, bro, I can't believe you went there. But no, the point there is, if you want to forget that aspect, fine. If you want to celebrate that period, we will show you the other part, and let's see if you'll wince when you actually see that.
Well, our Chairman Emeritus, Julian Bond, teaches at the UVA. I'll make sure I make that suggestion.
Do that. I want to go to the next subject. RNC Chairman Michael Steele. Boy, it's been a rough couple of weeks for Chairman Steele. Love him a lot. And what is interesting is you have strategists who are saying this guy needs to go. But top Republicans, Newt Gingrich, Rudy Giuliani, they're saying leave the guy there. They're saying, wait a minute, we won Virginia, we won New Jersey, we won Massachusetts. The guy's raising money. They've outraised Democrats 7 out of 12 months. What's the big deal here? What do you think is really at play here? And of course, they really went after him when he said that he thinks there's a small margin of error because he's black. What's at play here?
Personally, I think that the leadership in the Republican Party is starting to realize or make a reassessment now of the value that he brought to that equation when they instated him in the first place. You know, if you follow military terms, if there is a torpedo in the water, in this case it was the Democratic movement and the Obama administration, you launch a countermeasure, which is supposed to deflect the torpedo. Well, Steele was the countermeasure. But the countermeasure didn't do what it was supposed to do, and so I think now
but what is that, though? He did do what?
And I think that Richard Steele, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, they really believe, Michael Steele, they really believe that he was supposed to be the counter to President Obama.
But Jerry, he's been doing a lot of that in terms of on television, really going after this president. So it's not like he has not been a vocal critic of the administration.
He has been a vocal critic, but you know the thing is that going back to his bro days and all of the things that he tried to do to sort of position himself, because I agree with you as the other black, which really plays in Republican circles is sort of interchangeable. You know, you lose Thurgood Marshall, we'll give you Clarence Thomas. I mean, it's just the other black.
People have been saying the real deal is they hate the fact that he has the reins and the control in the party. Remember early on when he became chairman, they tried to change the rules and say, well, for you to spend X amount of dollars, you need to get approval from the board.
Right.
And so there's a feeling that they've been trying to control him, and so the internal struggle has been, he's saying, no, if I'm chairman, I'm going to be the chairman.
But are you also saying, though, that he is raising the money and bringing in the votes as they wanted him to do?
He has. And I don't mind, of course, the crazy comments, because he made one on this show when it came to white Republicans, you know, being scared of him because he's black, and that sort of helped us out. So Chairman Steele, thanks a bunch. But, you know, helped out with the branding of the show. But the reality is, he has been raising the money, but there's a power struggle here. And he's saying, if I have the power, I'm using it.
Well, but see, the thing is that he has raised, but you mentioned American Crossroads, I think is the name of the fund that they're putting together, raising $50 million off to the side. So to some extent, they're undermining him because, as you say, his real authority has to do with how much money he can raise and how many people get elected. You could question how much he had to do with Massachusetts, but in any case, it's those two things. If these people are going to undermine him by raising $50 million through American Crossroads, it makes him shake.
10 seconds.
I also asked about the intangible, though. He is the figurehead of the party now, for all intents and purposes.
But the party doesn't have a figurehead, though. I mean, that's also, I think, part of the issue. You have all these different voices. Congressional Republicans, you've got Sarah Palin, you've got Gingrich, and so really there's a struggle. Who's the true leader in the absence of one person truly stepping up?
You forgot Rush Limbaugh.
Well, yeah. Then, of course, you got crazy man Glenn Beck as well. So that's one of the deals there.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we're out of time. I certainly appreciate it. Art, Elmer, Jerry, thanks so much.